You're listening to Sell the Damn Service, the podcast for service providers who want to scale sustainably, book out with high value clients, and make serious money without jumping on the 6 figures in 7 minutes hype train. Most of the advice out there is built for one-to-many offers, low-price digital products, and hustle-heavy marketing. But if you want to stay in the service industry and still grow big, the truth is you're not being spoken to until now. I'm Emily Williams, an award-winning business owner who's sold millions in the online space through both services and digital products. And after all of that, here's what I know for sure. Services are still the fastest, most sustainable path to consistent revenue. So if you're ready for yapping, hot takes, and straight up conversations about what it really takes to sell and scale your services, you're in the right place. Real quick, before we get started, my recording platform went down 3 minutes into the conversation, so we had to move over to Zoom. So there might be a wonky transition in the conversation and the video quality, but that's why. Also, before we're able to really dive in, a massive pop culture moment happened and I left all it in because why not? Okay, let's dive in.
Yeah.
Okay, how was your weekend? Did you do anything exciting?
I don't think so.
I love that for you.
You know, how it's interesting how everybody's like neurodivergence shows up different. My detailed memory is unparalleled. My long-term memory, unparalleled. Ask me what I did yesterday or this weekend, and I'm like,
Yeah.
that's a great question.
Yeah.
I know I colored because I'm now into coloring as like regulating my nervous system.
Yes, I colored last night as well.
I've now no markers work for me but Sharpies because the feeling of it is amazing.
Oh, see, I have my alcohol-based markers because I like to layer my colors and do
Well, you're more of an
shadowing.
artist than I am.
Sure.
For me, it's more like I tried like the brush strokes kind of
Yeah.
ones, that were popular with the adult coloring books. But I've always had an addiction to like office supplies.
Uh-huh, I love a Sharpie.
Yeah, so when Sharpie comes out with like these like color collections, I'm like,
I was gonna say, what color collection did you get?
so this one that I'm currently obsessed with is Glam Pop.
Stop it. What colors are they? Bright?
Like they're like fuchsias and
Oh,
like different variations of like blues and teals and aquas and like purples.
like
Um,
jewel tone?
no, a little bit more bright than that,
Okay.
but not like neon. Right in
Okay.
the in
Yep.
between.
Yep.
And I love how we were like so doing the same thing.
So dumb.
Yeah.
Well, and it's annoying because Riverside crops this light out, but Zoom doesn't. So I'm hoping when I upload it that it will crop it out. But at this point, I don't care. I can't care.
Well, and I'm kind of okay with it because Zoom has the.
Oh, Zoom's filter is stunning. It's
I know.
gorgeous.
So
It's
I'm like,
beautiful.
my skin's gonna look so much better.
Yeah. No, I dig it. I dig it. Okay. Markers.
Yeah.
Glam. All right. Do you use coloring books or do you doodle?
Coloring books.
Okay.
I'm not, like I said, super artistic. I definitely went through a period when I was in high school where I was like, such an artist.
Yeah.
Was not an artist. It's cute.
I mean, I think we all are.
Well, yeah, I think mine's just not that way.
Huh.
Because I've been out of it enough now that whatever talent or like things I used to draw don't happen anymore.
Sure.
But I've gotten really into there's sweary like
Yes.
positive affirmation ones.
Yep. I've been coloring. I get the like cozy creature coloring book. So it's like in a bookstore or a coffee shop or a plant shop. And it's like this little bunny kind of bear looking creature. So Penelope and I will color right before bedtime. It's just like wind down. And then I follow, I think her handle is Doodle with Rachel, I think. She's on Instagram and TikTok, and she has like a bunch of doodling templates like worksheets and tutorials and how to add depth and trace unique shapes and like make a pattern and all of the things. And so, yeah, they're super cool. And so I just have like sketchbook after sketchbook that I just fill with whatever the doodle obsession I have right now gets
Yeah.
there.
Last night I actually did like, what are they called? Mandalas or
Yeah.
something?
Yeah.
I have a book I bought forever ago, and I really prefer when you can like they have the perforated edge so I can take it out. Um, do you need to?
Yeah. Brian's being weird. What? It's Emily. So this is the interview. You can interrupt if you need to. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Taylor Swift just announced her engagement. Stop it.
Oh, I love that he knows you need to know that now.
Shut the fuck up. That ring.
Stop it.
I could cry. I'm so happy for them. Oh,
Well,
my dad just texted me that.
I'm gonna have to look at this now.
Your English teacher and your gym teacher are getting married. Oh, I
Like,
could cry. That's so exciting.
I
I love how my two favorite guys in my life are the
like
first two to tell me that news.
like I need to make sure Emily has seen this.
I have
There's
to.
confetti.
Yep, I have
When
to
you
go to my book club.
Google even did confetti. What the?
Oh my God. Oh, my book club book chat is blowing up.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh my God.
Stop it.
I'm going to say B just interrupted a podcast interview with this news, and I'm not even mad. My God. I honestly can't believe she announced,
Holy crap.
like,
Big reading.
I'm pulling it up on my big computer. I just can't even. The garden is stunning. The ring is gorgeous.
Stop it.
When do we think they were actually engaged, though?
Oh, before the interview.
100% agree.
Before. Oh, so I finally went to her Instagram.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's already like blowing up and she like just posted it 19 minutes ago.
What's the count at right now? I can't see it on my computer.
2.1 million likes and 48,000 reposts. God knows how many shares.
I can't. That garden. Look at that.
It's so
beautiful
pretty.
garden. Do you think that's like in her yard?
I don't know, but they're so cute.
Oh, I'm so happy for her. Psychotic.
You did it.
I hit the button. Okay. Well, I'm leaving all the Taylor Swift stuff in because that feels monumental.
I mean, I think it shows so much about you. I was surprised when I found out you were a Swiftie. I don't know, like maybe you didn't like maybe I missed the whole like you posting about it, but because we didn't meet till
Yeah.
earlier this year. But I was like, shut up. You don't get Swiftie vibes. I'm here for it though.
Yeah, I think I feel like it's not over the top obsessive, which like I love when people are too. I no shame in that game. But it's to the level now, obviously, where my husband interrupts a podcast to tell me this
Your
news.
dad knows.
But I now have him sharing Easter egg theories with me. And so, like, I will come to him and I'll say, okay, are you ready for me to be like batshit about or I say, are you ready for me to clown about Taylor Swift? Because I know it's all 99% of the time it's not true or it's clowning or whatever. And he's like, okay, what? And so I like go on this whole rabbit hole. So now he's sending me, he goes, hey, I saw this theory. So he's the first one who showed me the theory that she was potentially going to be performing at the Super Bowl. And like the Easter eggs that hinted at that being a thing, he showed me an interview where someone like talked about that. And I go, oh, you now are catching the clown, and I like it.
He's like, "I just wanna connect with you." That's
Yeah.
cute.
Yeah.
So, I watched the interview right after we had talked about it,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
it
yes.
like, oh my god, obsessed. And it was basically like, as someone who's been single on purpose, on by choice, I'm like, "Oh, that's like what you want. That's
Yeah.
kind of like feeling you want of someone who's like just the whole interview, she's amazing."
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
whole interview.
Yeah. She's an athlete. She's stunning. She's talented.
She's
She's an artist. She's
like
the yeah.
right, and he's, like, so smitten, you can see it on his face,
Yeah.
which makes me think they were engaged before that.
Agreed.
But then I was like, "Oh," I know my parents were, like, in between shows, they watch TV together every night, and very different people, right? So I was like, "Mom, you and Dad should watch this," like, 'cause I know Dad watches the New Heights podcast anyways, and they watched it.
Yeah.
She's like, "I would totally watch it again." And I was like,
Yes.
"Samesies."
Yes.
And
My number one recommendation for anyone listening who doesn't understand the lore, I highly recommend that you go watch the Miss Americana documentary. That will give you such a different perspective on everything that you've ever thought to be true about her.
so
And
I
I
hope
was a Swiftie before that doc, but that doc was like
yes.
just it was so good.
Sweet. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I stand. I have not pre-ordered a vinyl yet because I didn't know which edition I would want. And then the one that I wanted sold out in like 30 minutes and I didn't get it. And so now I'm real sad. So I don't know which one I'm going to order,
I
but
know, I was surprised after I watched the interview that you said you hadn't because she
Mhm.
specifically said on that one, she's like, "Other albums, I always have these, like, surprise editions." She's like, "This is it. This is the
Right.
one. It's not gonna change."
But I knew I wanted to be able to pick which color I wanted, and which artwork I felt like I liked the best,
Okay,
but
do you have a record player?
we do, but it also just broke. And so we need also a new record player. But I mean, I'll stream it on Spotify like instantly.
Oh, for sure. I'm like I know, like, Vinyl came back around, and I was like, "Okay, well,
Yeah.
like, if you buy that, I want like, Pixar didn't happen, proof you have a record player."
Yes. Yes.
Because there is a difference, and I'm sorry, but it's not gonna sound the same as, like, records from back in the day.
No, oh no.
Not as good, but I understand the idea
Mhm.
behind it.
Yep, yep. It's one of our I like to have that option of a non-digital, non-screen version of something. And I feel like a record player, like, especially on the weekends when we're all just trying to take a break from like our phones and I don't want my kid like in front of the tablet and then I'm like, hey, just go put on a record and we like clean the house or we pick up or we color. And it's just such a good, like, she knows how to flip it and puts a new one on. And so it's a whole thing. But I want to get one. Maybe I'll have to ask for it for my birthday because I want one like the old ones that you can load multiple records and it can auto
It,
go
like, does
through them.
mm,
Yeah.
mm,
I grew up in a house where my nana had she still has it, it still works. It's a beast of a sound system. It is almost as tall as me, and it holds, like, 25 CDs or something, and so it'd be one of those things where, like, I would go, spend the week or weekend at her house or whatever, and I would go through and, like, pick all the CDs that I'd wanna listen to during the weekend, load them all up, and then then she had, like, speakers all throughout her house. It would
yes,
just I just grew up and music is always on no
yes,
matter what household,
yes.
and it was great, and
Glad
I
you
loved
need to do without telling me.
Yeah.
We had one not as big as that, but, like, it was pretty robust because my parents were into music and stuff, and it was a 5 CD one, that just kinda, like, did the thing,
Yeah.
and so, I earliest memories of my mom picking her 5 CDs,
Yes.
like, for our cleaning on the Saturdays,
Yes.
and then luckily, as I got older, I got control of it at different times, before I became a teenager, and they're like, "Here's your own. Go to your room."
Yeah, yeah. I remember distinctly my dad was like, "If I have to listen to another Jason Mraz album, I'm going to lose my mind. I need you to listen to that in your room."
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, if we really wanna date ourselves, I'm talking, like, NSYNC, Britney
Oh,
Spears,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Aguilera, like, my parents were like, this has Beatles on it. You need to take your music."
Okay, here's a hot take I'm gonna share. I
Okay.
despise the Beatles.
Interesting.
I think they're overrated
Oh, for sure. I think
and not good.
well, here's the thing, and I argue this with my friend a lot. What I hate the most, and this is a strong stance, but I really hate when people are like, they judge something or they critique something from, let's say, the 90s
Mhm.
in the scope of today.
Mm.
And all of that to say, there is nuance with everything, yada, yada, yada. And it's not saying any of these things were right or wrong, but you cannot look at something that was created in a certain period of time and not consider the context when
Mhm.
you're judging it.
Mhm.
And so, like, that's kinda how I look at, like, pop culture, history stuff.
Yeah. Well, and I think that that's why I have yeah. That's why I have the hot take of the Beatles, and I feel the same way about the Beach Boys, any of those bands,
Me
because I can appreciate that they were maybe really cool and different at the time, but for someone today to say, "Well, they're the best of their time because they did all this movement and they made changes and they did this," who gives a shit? They did it then.
very white.
White and mediocre, and
Like, they
did
were
nothing special. You were just the one allowed to do it
right.
then.
I was like, they were groundbreaking in that they had the platform.
They were groundbreaking when the bar was in hell.
Yeah, I was
So
like,
you're
I'm
welcome.
sorry, guys, that's a very low bar. And that's, like luckily, I don't think you're gonna have tons of boomers listening to this show,
Sorry, booms.
but that's exactly how I feel about Elvis Presley. You
100% agree.
like, his
100%
entire
agree.
career is based on music he, like,
Stole.
appropriate. Like, it's like, that's
Stole.
yeah. Like, no. No,
No. No. I 100%. I just, give me a man and I'll find a complaint.
for
It
sure.
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
We got wildly off track.
It-
Taylor
or, or this is the lore
yeah.
also of the show.
I just love that, like, people in your life knew that it doesn't matter what she's doing, she could be on a call with the president.
And she needs to know this
Yeah.
right now. Yeah. Yeah. Which also I would never be on the call with this president.
Streaming, so you hadn't seen it yet.
I know. I think I'm on do not disturb. And
Yeah.
so I wasn't getting anything because and I'm glad I am because I have like 63 unread messages in my group chat right now. So, uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
Tell me what Emily's afternoon's gonna be about,
Uh-huh. Screaming about this
besides a
information.
group call for SOS. What?
Besides that, I'm so excited.
I
Okay,
know.
so let's talk about that because you have been not to make this interview about my my
Let's
thing
do
at
it. I
all.
mean, we got 2 Emilys here. I think it should be a joint show.
I have all the things. You have been a part of the creation of Sold Out Services,
Yeah.
my core container, and you have seen it evolve from when it was still being kind of custom proposals to a handful of people to then it being the container that is more productized and has got 10 or 11 people in it at this point. And I knew when it got to, I think I told you when there's like over 5 to 7 people, I would love to have a group call. And so we're there. And I was like,
Yeah.
feeling the vibes that people might appreciate a group call. And I think that a lot of people are super curious about is it a one-on-one container? Is it done for you work? And then how is there a group call and what is happening? And so as someone who's inside SOS, how is it for you? How is that component? I mean, we haven't had the call yet, but
Yeah, no, so, what's interesting is, like, you talk about being in the process with you. Like, you literally texted me, "Hey, this is random. Can you meet me for coffee?" Like, middle of the day one day. And you're like, "I had this, like, aha strategic."
epiphany. Yeah.
I was like, "Okay, cool. Let's meet, Black Dog, whatever. Let's go." I'm there. You come and you're like, "I know, I know." Like, it's come to fruition. And you're like, "Sold Out Services." I was like, "Okay, I need more."
Yeah. I
That
was
was the
like,
day you talked
listen.
about, like, Sell the Damn Services podcast. Like,
Mhm.
you were like, and you know, it's still in the ideation phase. So yeah, to say it's been a journey. But in the group, I think what's interesting is I can kind of feel what you're talking about, the like confusion's the wrong word, but kind of like, what is this container? And to be
Yeah.
fair, I think a lot of containers, offers, whatever you want to call them, feel that way in the beginning when they're, even if you don't like the word, being beta tested, essentially.
Yes.
Like, they're the person putting them on is still tweaking, is still figuring out, oh, that actually did not work like I thought it would. We need
Mhm.
to kind of pivot here. Um, so I think that that feeling might dissipate when new people come in because
Yeah.
now there's more there. Um, but I have always thought like this is, people throw around the word hybrid a lot,
Uh-huh.
and they're not really.
Right.
Not, but I think this is going to be a true hybrid, um, in the sense that like you're not going to take out the one-on-one aspect because that's where your genius lies,
Yep.
and there is still going to be a done. I think it's more done with you, if we're being
Mhm.
honest, because even if you're going to like help come up with some copy angles and scripts, help someone set up their tracking, it's with them. It's not they give you information and you're like, here's everything you could ever need for this offer.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, but now that you've again hit the threshold where you're like, okay, it makes sense to maybe introduce a group thing. Um, it's really going to be a true hybrid. And so I think it'll be interesting to see how the call goes, more than one, obviously. But and then I think when you get new people in there, it'll just be a little bit more clear. Like, I think we did miss a little bit of the step of like introducing ourselves, which don't be wrong,
Mhm.
I hate that piece.
Yeah,
It's like
same.
when
That's
you're
why I
in
don't have it.
no, I know, because it's like when you're in like school or something and they're
Mhm.
like, we're gonna go around and you're like, you're not even
Bleh.
listening to anyone else and you're like, what am I gonna okay, I'm gonna say that no, I'll say it this way. Like
Uh-huh. Then I'm not listening to anything anyone is saying because
I'm
I'm so
practicing at
stressed out
home.
about how I'm
Yeah,
going to introduce
yeah.
myself.
Or when it was like round robin to read out loud and you knew
Oh,
like you're following along enough to know what
skipping ahead to read the passage that you're about to read? Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
It's to me, it's like now knowing what I know, it's like, how did no one know I was different
Because you were a high functioning girl.
and high masking?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Like
Yes.
yeah, I was that would like so when someone's like I go in a group and they're like, why aren't people introducing themselves? And it's like, because it's awkward as fuck.
It's awkward and no one actually cares until you like really know the person. And so how I planned on kind of mitigating that is whoever is able to come to the call today, I now know enough about them that I can introduce
Yeah.
them. And so I'm going to say, "Oh my gosh, like here's your question. This is Emily. She does XYZ. She has this business. Here's where she's at right now. If you want to add anything to that, great. But my goal is to be that intimate with everyone who's in the community so I know what their business
You're
is
the
and what they've got
connector.
going on. Because yeah, it's the I dread the tell me an interesting fact about yourself. There's nothing. All of a sudden I'm just like I'm the least interesting person
I
in the
know.
world. There's
I'm like,
nothing.
I am so boring. What are you talking? I don't
There's
what
nothing.
I was like, can you give me a template?
I know. Can you give me some like what are you looking for here? What's the
Well, I
category of
know
what you're
like
looking
people
for?
think they're being helpful with like, tell me like the most random thing accomplishment. And I was like, how much time do you have? Like,
Okay. I don't no. No.
you know
I
what I
don't.
mean? So it's just
Mm-mm.
like I kind of appreciate that. But yeah.
Yeah. I think I love that. Even if we're not being intentional about it, every single business conversation we've had about strategy or ideation, brainstorming, content, whatever, always comes from the lens of like, okay, but how's this going to work for your brain, my
Yeah.
brain?
Yeah.
And I love that a big part of our conversations is about accessibility for us.
Yeah.
And w- you are one of the few people in my life who is not just super cognizant of the accessibility of what it is that you're selling, but the maintenance of that.
Yeah.
I think we can all understand that we all have a different energy when something is new. and we're starting something.
Yeah.
But how are we going to actually maintain that on an ongoing basis?
Yeah.
And I think that's been a huge, huge driving factor for how your business has shifted over the
Yeah.
months and years.
Yeah.
But it's also led to, I think, one of your biggest like sticking points, which is part of the conversation today of what do you do and how do you mitigate when you are a service-based business and you inevitably wake up one day and you've got a whale of a client and you fear the day when that client's project ends or when they decide to wrap up services or any other circumstance that comes up in between where you're not working with that person anymore. And how do you create a business that is something that with unpredictable bandwidth,
Mhm.
energy levels, desire, what do you do?
Yeah. Well, and I think I've been more intentional with, like, especially, like, when I'm having conversations, like, when we're having talks about what you're gonna offer, how things are gonna work, like, yeah, I love customer experience, so it's, okay, well, I would input a call here for, like, a nudge or something like that, but it's also, okay, how are you gonna make this easier for yourself? Because I know
Yep.
I'm the same way. We have a million and one ideas, and they are all so exciting, and they light us up. And like you're saying, inevitably, there's gonna be a time where it's like, "This podcast is super fun, but now I have to edit it, and I don't wanna edit
Uh-huh,
it."
right.
And like, okay, well, what can we do to put that what's that barrier, you know? And I think that's come from the last year or so of, like, having so unpredictable energy as I've, like, navigated burnout and stuff, that I've had to be like, "Okay, this is all such a great idea. How am I actually gonna do it when I inevitably wake up one day and my brain is not braining
Yep.
and I am so fatigued I can't move?" Like, and it is difficult, or it feels more difficult being a service provider,
Mhm.
because it feels like it's relying on you to do
Mhm.
because you're a service.
Yeah, 'cause they're
It's like
doing a
in
service.
it's like in the definition.
Uh,
Um, and so I don't even know if I thought about it as far as, like, with having a whale client. That was the reason I got a whale client, where, like, I
right.
got comfortable with having it. When I got in, so I started in 2022,
Mhm.
and at the time I was working full time, burnt out, shocking.
Mhm.
Um, and I started as a VA, and I landed someone who we, like, clicked with really quickly. Hours increased really fast, and she ended up being my client for 2 plus years. We had a lot of success together. And, a lot of the time in the online space, especially VA space and stuff, it's land retainer clients.
Yeah.
Like, that's the goal, is you only need, and that's kind of how these people sell it. You
Yep.
only need like 4 really good retainer clients. Yeah, true. But
Yeah.
then that's all you have. And so if one person leaves, that's a
That's a
fourth of your
quarter of your
team.
revenue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there, at the time, and even in the last couple of years, like, there hadn't been a lot of discussion of, like, diversifying your income as a service provider.
Mhm.
So, and with someone like me who I just didn't have the energy, I was like, "Oh my god, I have this person who wants me on her team for eons." That's how it felt.
Yeah.
And then, you know, circumstances, whatever, not to get into the whole mess of story, but, like, the rug was pulled out from under me.
Yeah.
And she was a significant part of my income.
Yeah.
And I have been dabbling with, like, coaching and stuff because, again, the whole industry is like, well, if you want to scale as a service provider, you either have an agency or you become a coach.
Mhm. Mhm. Those are your
So,
options.
I
Yep.
was like, I've had a team, I've managed them. I find it draining. I can do it, but I find it draining.
Mhm.
So it's like, I'll be a coach. That would better suit my energy anyways. So I was like kind of in that precipice of, like, I had a coaching client and I had my whale client. And then the whale client went away. And I was
Yeah.
like,
Bullshit.
I was like, "What am I doing? I have no idea." Suddenly, it feels like I have to figure this out, and it just knocked me off my socks. And so
Yeah.
now, as I've had to basically, and I'm still in the phase of rebuilding my business more intentionally, I have to be like, "All right, yeah, it it sounds like a great idea to have these really long-term retainer clients. I just can't trust it anymore,
Right.
and
Yeah.
I don't like the pressure I put on myself in those situations."
Yeah.
Um, and so it makes sense too with my neurodivergence that I work so much better with, we are just tackling this one thing,
Yep.
and my part of it has to be done by this date and the urgency, you know? Um, and I find because of how things have shifted, not everybody wants long-term team right now.
Right.
So outsourcing has shifted.
Yeah.
I always thought it should have.
I think a lot of people are doing the, like, team on call kind of thing, like, they
Yeah.
wanna have their people they can reach out to, and if a
Mhm.
project takes 3 months,
Yeah.
great, but then we're done until something else comes up.
And it's better for a lot of people. And for me, it's I have these like sprints,
Yep.
which always work for my brain because I can't tell you how many offers I've created in the last year. Doesn't mean I've launched them or anything. But I love doing the sprints. I love doing like a deep dive, like strategy session with someone because I do have a lot to offer.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I've had to be like, that
Yeah.
old model is not going to work for me anymore for so many reasons.
I think the interesting part here, and this is what I talk to, my clients in Sold Out Services, the ecosystem that I want to design if it makes sense for how people work and their audience and content. Like there has to be a lot of factors into that, but is the entry point easy yes offer that goes into a core container, that goes into an invite only retainer solution for very select VIP
Mm,
clients. And I have it specifically structured that way because I also attract a lot of neurodivergent entrepreneurs.
what?
Weird. Um, and for me, the retainer aspect has felt I can have a retainer and someone can be around for like 6 months, 8 months, sometimes even 24 months. And like that feels like a huge success. I'm not saying someone has to live there for life.
Right.
Businesses change all the time.
Right.
But my relationship with a retainer has been messy, convoluted at sometimes because I don't feel like there's enough value
Yeah.
for someone to consistently pay me, like, for what? And
Yeah.
so for me, I've had to be very intentional about, even in a retainer, making that scope so crystal clear of what do you get? Why is it important? Therefore, what is the actual price point? Because I've had clients who, in the same sense where you say the rug got pulled out from under me, I know a little bit more about that situation. I know it wasn't ideal and it wasn't communicated well, and there were a lot of not great pieces about that.
That would be a whole other podcast on how
That's a
to
whole
talk
other
about
conversation.
values.
Yeah, yeah. I have also had the rug pulled out from underneath me in a way that it wasn't malicious and nothing was wrong, but I started with a client and it was on a monthly retainer, and she had me, roll through a project, and then the project rolled into the next month and the next month. And so part of that, we would meet monthly and we would forecast. What do we think is going to, sales, revenue, expenses, what do we think this is going to look like over the next couple of months?
Right.
And I remember distinctly on one of those calls, we're pulling up the spreadsheet and she has me as a line item and she takes me, and at this point it was maybe March, May, maybe
One of the M's.
one of the M's. And she took my name and she goes, "Oh, well, I need a line item you throughout the year." So she drug me from, March or whatever to December to like, okay, here's how much my expenses are going to be. I'm bringing you on through December. And then it was like July, and she had said, "Oh, actually, I think we're done."
Yeah.
And it was one of those where, like, I didn't disagree with her. The project, like, I needed to be doing a better job to showcase the ongoing value of the purpose. I had no qualms about her doing that. But it was also like we had I had absolutely planned on you being here until December and us figuring out what we needed to do to continue to work on throughout that time.
Sure.
Um, but obviously that didn't happen, and that's fine. But
Mhm.
I think that, like, another element to this is you and I are the type of high performing neurodivergent folks who over deliver and who are really good at our jobs.
Yeah.
And there have been countless times where I have worked myself out of a job
Yeah. Yeah.
because of how good I was at
Yeah.
my job.
Mhm.
And there's sometimes I sit there and I'm just like, if I were like the majority of service providers, I could have let
You
this
know?
linger.
But if you were the majority of service providers, you wouldn't be you,
Yeah.
you know? And I think about that all the time. Because I've done that. Talk about over delivering and stuff. I've done that in every job and stuff
Yeah.
I've had. And crazily enough, I always end up burning out. It's not that I like, work myself out of a job. It's just like at some point I can't keep doing it because, I think someone was talking about this once, like we kind of probably go in and give our 100% is probably like someone else's like 150%.
Yep. Yep.
And so then when we try to have like a normal amount, people are like, why aren't you doing yours?
Yep.
Because we've trained them.
Yep.
Um, well, and in the case for me, it was, and I've had this happen, this wasn't the only time this has happened, but it was, and again, this is a whole other podcast episode. But it was, they decided they wanted to change their business. So, okay, we're done for like now. Just like,
Mm, mhm.
that's not how that works.
No.
Like, um, so again, like if there's anything to take from this for anyone, please, dear God, have a contract for yourself. Like,
Well, and I think because I know you and I know
yeah,
part of how this conversation went, have a contract for yourself and have the confidence and support systems for you to hold the contract and hold the terms because there are people who even after they sign a contract and agreement
mhm,
are still going to say, "Okay, but I'm still done," or "I want to do it like this," and try to have control over the narrative and how that actually unfolds and
yeah,
being able to be confident in sticking to the boundary of holding the contract is like part 2 of that skill.
yeah. One, and for me, I have way easier of a time holding boundaries in any of these kind of situations when I have something backing me up.
Absolutely.
And a lot of times that is a contract or an employment, agreement or something. Um, but it's like you're saying, I think now being aware, and especially as we've become friends and stuff, is scope isn't just for projects. Scope isn't just for like it's for everything.
Yes.
And I think it's hard. It was hard for me to grasp that because the people I was working with, my clients were coaches. So inevitably, I was consuming a lot of coaching trainings and content to help them better.
Yep.
Because I'm a learner, and so I found it valuable to join programs about launching or things like that for coaches to help my
Right.
clients.
Mhm.
However,
Mhm.
you have to be careful because it's easy to forget that I know people think there's enough overlap that you can, you know, talk to both people in trainings. You really can't. And these coaches were talking about just doing like 90-minute sessions a certain way or um having coaching clients and this is how you do it. And even my clients were that way. Like you just have a call and then you're in Boxer. And I was like, that feels shady to me.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
that's my brain. Cause I'm like very transactional. What are they getting from me?
Yeah.
And so it's been a learning thing to be like, even in my strategy sessions, even in my projects, or if I have like, we've talked about like a membership or something for past clients, after the fact, it will have to be very detailed as far as
Yeah.
what's included because I will over deliver. It's
Yeah.
not even just them. It's
And it's why I have, and I've talked about this with my friend Jessie Lee, who we host the Lazy Business podcast together. I've talked about my like absolute vomit inducing visceral reaction I have when she calls me a coach, or when someone calls me a coach, or you're my coach. I'm like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. My
You
email signature says growth strategist or consultant or whatever. And it's because I have my own shit around that
Yeah.
word
Yeah.
and what that word means and what it means in this industry and what it's also expected to, like, how you're supposed to interact because of that being your title or your phrase. And I have always tried to separate myself from that word because I believe that a coach is more mental
Mm,
than tangible. And I love tangible. And while you might get a mental kick in the pants with me talking to you and strategizing and whatever, I definitely think that that happens.
mhm.
I, by no means, have never, will never be the person that's like, I'm going to make you confident about your pricing. Like, if you're not confident about your pricing, I don't know what to tell you. Like, that's do it or don't. Like, ultimately, at the end of the day, it's your decision. But here's what the math tells us to do, and it's your job to call your therapist or your coach to figure out how you need to emotionally handle that price point or whatever. That's just an example. And so it's been funny in a lot of conversations I've been having with Jess where she was like, "You're acting like a coach. You
Mhm.
are a coach." And I say, "No. No, I'm not."
Well, and that's fair. I think, I remember someone saying to me, like, this industry has warped that word.
Yeah.
And like, this isn't a like, let's shit on coaches.
No.
Like there's
Jess is a
really,
coach.
yeah,
She is 100% a coach. I
there are
love that
really
for
good
her.
coaches out there. Of course, there's the scammy ones we've all seen.
For sure. And they're scammy service providers.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
uh,
But like we've warped that word so much. And because I think the rhetoric, especially when I started and even in like 2023, 2024, is the whole like position yourself as an expert, be the whatever in the coaching. And so much of the rhetoric was like, as long as you're X steps ahead of your clients, you're fine. And I was like, well, I haven't had like 100K launch, or
right.
I've helped
Right.
people have crazy amounts of results. I have the brain to help people do that. But that doesn't mean I've like myself had it. And the
Yep.
industry made me feel like I had to do this. And if you think about basketball coaches, football
Right.
coaches,
Right.
not all of them have direct playing
Right.
experience.
Right. I
And
think
so it's
this.
just, but there is the mental thing, like even with sports coaches, like,
Mhm.
like, and I think as we got to know each other, I was like, oh, okay, okay. Like whenever we would talk about client experience, I was like, so, you might want to add a check-in call at this
Mhm.
point.
Mhm.
Um, because I remember you being, surprised that someone hadn't taken an action or something. And I was like, well, I mean, that's a big leap. You might, they might need to talk it out again or whatever. And you're like,
Oh.
and I just like, I don't think it's that you're an unfeeling or not like anything like that. I think it just doesn't occur to you if you have data, you
Right.
have something to do, like go do it.
Do it.
And I'm more of the like, I totally understand the people who are like, that feels really hard
Yeah.
and I need some support around that.
Yeah.
And that's
I
why
think
I've
that's
struggled on what to call myself.
for sure. And I think this is such a valid discussion that's not being had in this space of how much direct, exact results do you need your coach or consultant or strategist that you're hiring to have under her belt in
Mhm.
order for you to feel confident to hire them. And
Yeah.
I absolutely agree with you that the coaching space is very much like do it and then be ahead of your client and then turn around and serve people who are
And
three
not tell
steps
people that
behind.
you selling a course about how to sell courses is why you had coaching success.
Right, right. And it's very interesting though, because it's like there are, there's the term subject matter expert that's also been in this industry. It's well known in and out of this industry. And when did we not when did we decide to not be okay with hiring people who were a subject matter expert because they had been trained, certified, experienced, done it for X amount of people who got X results, even though they didn't need to do it in their own business?
Right.
I don't
It's
know.
it's a weird, and this is kind of where I see why people call it, like, sometimes call the coaching industry like MLM, or even service provider like MLM.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can see that because somewhere along the line, there just became this like rhetoric of, you know, they need to, coaches need to have a certain amount of success or a certain whatever. And, but that value that placed on different services, value that's gotten placed on different kind of coaching and stuff, it's so nonsensical to me
Yeah.
because it's like these coaches will drop tens of thousands of dollars on a coach who's like, I made seven figures. If you want to be in my energy and learn how, $15,000. And I'm over here like, excuse me. But then they bulk at paying a legit experienced service provider who is running their business $3,000 a month.
Yeah. Mhm. Mhm.
And so I think there's just been this like, especially in the online space, I don't always think this is outside of it. I think it's a very bubble thing sometimes. We've really just been like, well, if they share these screenshots and they are seven figure, whatever,
Mhm.
that's who I need to learn from. And it's not worth, paying someone to help me with my business because they're not going to teach me how to make the seven figures. And it's like, or
It's this I bucket it as, like, people are more willing to pay astronomical amounts for vibes,
yeah,
but they wanna cut corners when they're paying for actual implementation, and it's this, like, concept of how cheap of labor can I find for someone to do this for me, but I will pay a mortgage payment to
yeah.
get into the room in hopes that it will
I'll
exponentially.
like soak osmosis, I'll soak it in.
Right, right.
Um, well, and I think that's like back to your point about like the ick you get when someone tries to say you're a coach. I really struggled with that because, like I said, I kind of was in that lingering space for a while and I played around with different things. I was even going to have like course and stuff to teach people how to get out of the 9 to 5 and use their skills just,
Yeah,
to be a VA and stuff because I do think it's just such an opportunity, especially for women, underrepresented, minorities and stuff.
yep,
I think there's such an opportunity in the online space that there's not in the traditional workforce that is still run by certain people.
yep.
Um, so I was really passionate about that. And I always thought like a lot of the courses and stuff like VA OBM courses, man, they overcomplicate shit.
Mhm,
And really it's not, you don't need all that. And I really wanted to help other women especially do that, especially if they had chronic illness like I did or neurodivergence.
mhm.
There's such an opportunity. But I felt like I was like choking when I called myself a coach.
Yeah,
And it
yeah,
was because of the weirdness in the
the
online space.
connotations of that, yeah,
And it's not that I don't think that I don't do coaching because I really do think I do.
for sure.
I I just like can't call myself that,
Well,
you know?
and this is reminding me it's funny because everything is nuance, it's literally
Mhm.
why this show exists, so we can just talk about all the angles.
So much
It's
so.
just reminded me of a conversation I had with someone, I think at the start of this year, so many months ago, though, and, we had found each other in a networking group, and I was doing coffee dates and just getting to know people and whatever. And, she was someone who I think, um, either I can't remember, but in some regard, there had been a question asked where I asked her, "Do you offer done for you services?"
Mhm.
And she said yes. And so we hop on this call and we're chatting. I think she might have wanted to hire me for something. And so we're having like a little bit of a clarity call and I'm digging in and I can't quite figure out what she does. It's a little convoluted. And I'm like, hey, why don't you just like screen share and walk me through like your services page? Right. And so she pulls it up. She's like, great, here we go. So she's showing me, she's clearly brand new and I don't work with brand new people anymore. So I was like, what resource do I need to send you? And so let me know like kind of where you're at right now with what's going on. So she pulls up what she's got. She sends me links to her site. And I mean, it is 100% the VA MLM space of she bought into some sort of curriculum where you then resell their curriculum, but like white labeled for
Yep.
you. So like it's a PDF, it's a challenge, it's a cheap course, it's whatever. And she makes, 70% if they buy this tier and then an extra 30% if they refer, like it's literally an MLM.
Yeah.
And so I went to her bio and she's like, I'm helping people leave their 9 to 5 and replace their salary with like VA work. And I said, amazing. How long ago did you leave your 9 to 5? Oh, I'm still in it. Amazing. How long ago did you replace your salary and you're just getting paid 2 salaries? I love that for you. She goes like, oh, I haven't. I made like $17 last month. Okay, cool. So you're teaching people something that you've never actually done, that you've not even done for yourself. I think a lot of the conjecture that we're going to have on this show, especially with some future interviews, is what kind of counts as enough for you to be an expert in that thing. There are people in this industry who learn how to do something once and they do it for themselves and their brand, and then all of a sudden they are the expert in that and they want to teach everyone else how to do that. But this person hadn't even learned how to do it herself.
Yeah.
And it was the idea that she wanted to be the person who could do that, but she was 100% embodying the idea that she had already done it. And to me, that's when the whole like vibes and manifesting
Yeah.
and be the person you want to be turns to lying.
Yes. Yes. And I've been, I didn't officially get my dual diagnoses, if you will, ADHD and autism, until like right around the time this whale client thing happened.
Hmm.
So as I'm trying to process that, I'm also like unmasking and being like, oh, this makes so much sense. I see this now. And one of the pieces is the like, it falls kind of under the literal thing, the sense of justice thing. I
Don't even get me started.
Right, it's so hard.
You're lying. Stop lying.
There's a line for me. There's presenting, there's marketing, there's positioning. But when you are presenting I just saw a coach I followed forever, positioning her new course as like, this little packet thing is going to help you sell out your event. I used it to sell out my thing in 2 weeks. And I was like, where's the context? You sold your thing out in 2 weeks because those were past clients who like wanted to meet you in person. Like, I was like, there's no nuance to this. It was not your
Right.
emails. It was
Right.
not that it only took 2 weeks with these magical emails, but
Right.
she's selling it like that. And I was like, to me, that is too close to lying.
Yep. Yep.
And so I think there's so much nuance to this. And I think, which is why I've struggled with what am I going to call myself?
Uh-huh.
And it's mostly because to me and my brain, that is a piece of like the specificity that people talk about needing, the clarity
Yes.
for people
Yeah.
who know you.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of it, because it was so easy to be like, oh, she's an OBM, you know, she's an online business manager. We know what that is.
Yeah.
And, but at some point that didn't feel correct, even though it felt like a safe space and I should just do it again. But then I was like, oh, I don't like retainer clients. So no. Um, and so it's been this kind of battle, and I kind of tiptoed. What about coach? I mean, I kind of sometimes, no, can't do it. Can't do it. Like it's, it's because so much of it feels like lying to me. And
Well, and I also think I take this a step back a little bit and think, well, how would the people who have worked with you
mm,
that you like, that are ideal, how would they refer you? And I wouldn't refer you as a coach. I wouldn't describe you as a coach. You are, I know we've tossed out a lot of words and like OBM and integrator and tech assistant or
strategists,
strategist, right?
that's
All
always
of
been what I've,
all of those things is how I would describe you. There's 15 words I would use to describe you before I got to coach.
yeah.
And it's not that in one of there's a very specific discussion. I did almost an entire episode where I talked about the impacts of this discussion, where you changed my way of thinking about something that enabled me to take action, that enabled me to see what was actually holding me back.
Mhm.
And yes, you did that, but the way that you did it was because you were like, okay, but we actually need to make the plan. We need to do a tangible
Yeah.
by talking out the steps so that we can outline them so that you can get the support you need to actually follow through. This
Yeah.
wasn't, let's talk about why that was
Uh-huh.
holding you back. Not that that's not needed and that some people
No,
don't need to have that discussion,
for sure.
but that's not what you were doing. And that to me is what a coach does.
Well, yeah, and so from you talking about how that conversation was helpful for you, I thought about it and I thought about how I've done that for other people, and
Yeah.
it is always through the lens of they tell me an idea or things that they're thinking about or that they've had on their list or something, and yet it keeps getting pushed down or whatever, just, I have to make time for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And, like, there's legit reasons to like, you have to wait till you have a certain time. Like, there's that. But after a certain time, I'm like, okay, this isn't just about time. There's something in there.
Yeah.
And for me, it is from a point of strategy. Okay, let's talk about it from like, do a brain dump, step A to like Z and
Yep.
beyond. When they start doing the double letters, let's go down, let's just keep
Let's
going,
go. Let's keep it going.
and inevitably, I'll see and hear that there is something, whether it's a process, a tech thing, or don't know how to name something, price something. There's something that they've stumbled on. It's like that friction point, when they
Yep.
talk about like with ADHD and stuff, like that friction that stops us from doing things, transitions and stuff. There's a friction point, and it's something that I've had a lot of success with people in uncovering and then
Mhm.
addressing, and then they move
Mhm.
through it.
Yep.
And so when I was reflecting on that conversation with you, I was like, oh, okay, cool. I'm basically a second brain strategist with support.
We decode your operational friction points
Yeah. It was
so
more like
that
the thing that kept going in my brain is like idea to action, idea to launch.
yeah.
I need to make time for something to done in less than 30 days is
Yeah.
usually how it's worked. It's worked for multiple people, not just you.
Yeah.
And it's a combination of that second brain strategist you need sometimes to
Mhm.
like talk something through to see the bigger picture and the details. But then it's also the system support.
Mhm.
And I was like, cool, that's it. I
Yeah.
don't care if that's a thing,
Right.
it's a thing for me.
Right. Well,
And
because you are so trained in a lot of systems,
yeah,
part of that conversation, yes, you had me just talk and talk and talk and talk, and you took notes. And literally, you said, what if, because I love Airtable and I use Airtable. So you said, what if you created internal notification reminders for you to do things at certain points? Would that make you feel better about following through on this thing? And it was like, oh, duh, literally hadn't thought about that. And so it took like what you knew about me, the system that I love using, and then you heard the actual sticking point and
mhm,
proposed a solution.
yeah,
And I think for some of your clients, you might have to set up that solution for them.
for sure,
For
for
me,
sure.
I was like, open the screen, beep boop bop. Okay, this is done. This is done. This is done. Cause I can just move really quickly once I get clarity on something. But it was that like systems frame of reference
Yeah,
that you were able to bring to the conversation that wasn't feel good, it wasn't emotion, it wasn't what are we making it mean. All of those are great conversations. I have them with my therapist and with Jess. She's like
right.
my therapist friend.
Yeah, right.
And can absolutely help me see why do I keep repeating these kind of behaviors or thought processes or whatever. Um, but it's irrelevant for me, it is irrelevant to, like, actually implementing. I'm going to be the person that's gonna implement no matter
Right.
what.
Right. Well, and I think that's the thing. That's why when I had that clarity come through, because I did listen to your voicemail, I was like the voice note from you, and I was like, that is so helpful to hear. Because when you know you can do that for someone, but you don't have the words sometimes, and you
Yeah.
do, that's why your one-on-one piece of your program is still so beneficial.
Right.
Because you do need that reflected sometimes. And I think it gets tossed around like you don't need external validation. It's like, that's not what that is. That
No.
is, it's hard to see your own stuff
Yeah.
and, you're too close to your own genius. That whole thing, it's a cliche because it's true.
Yeah.
And, but once you said that, I was like, oh, that's exactly what I did with that launch. Client came to me. She's so excited. She's like, I threw it up
Yeah.
in stories. I don't know if we can actually do this. I don't know if it's actually a thing. Within 3 weeks, she had sold 8 spots. She got a
Yes!
one-on-one client. And I, in that case, did help her implement because that wasn't her zone.
Right.
And so then, I was thinking about that all weekend and I was like, you know what? For people like you, a one-off strategy session, like my second brain strategy session, all you need. Where
Right.
you're like, I'm gonna see
Oh,
that.
so here's what's funny though, is like I immediately see the opportunity of what could a low retainer look like for someone like me to pay you on a monthly basis so that I can pick I know. Come on and say, "Here's all the brain dump things, like, make
Yeah.
sense of this." Because more than one occasion, you've been like, okay, here's an example. I texted you one day and I said, "Should I move from Kit to Flodesk?" with, like, 17 question marks. And you're like, "I don't know. What's the reason or what are you
What's the
looking
why behind it?
what's
Yeah.
the why? Like, why?" And
Mhm.
I said, "Because everyone on Threads is talking about it."
And I knew that was why, but I was like, I need you to admit it.
Yeah,
And so I
yeah.
was like, well, then just sit with it for a sec. But if you
Yes,
do,
yes.
I'll help
And then
you
I
with it.
did sit with
Yeah,
it,
you
and
did.
then I had another conversation, and then I actually dug into and I said, "No, you know what? She's right. I need to actually have a reason. I need to spend 5 minutes researching what is a benefit that I could get that I'm missing, because it takes time to move, and it takes energy, and it
And there's gonna
takes
be
money."
downsides.
Exactly. And so really, really digging into why. And when I felt like I actually had valid reasons, I sent them back to you. And you were like, great,
Yeah.
let's do it.
Let's do it. Here's what it looks like.
Exactly.
And that's the whole piece. Like I posted a couple times on threads about it because it's such a topic right now, at least people I follow. And most of the clients I've worked with, it was Flodesk all the time. Like it was like everybody was using it. I like it, of course, and it was before some of their upgrades recently. So with Thrivecart, it always needed a zap. And
Yeah.
I was like, can we switch to something that's directly
Yes.
directly integrated to Thrivecart? Because these were a lot of multi-offer people. And when you
Yeah.
have that one zap step for someone who has two offers, not a big deal.
Right.
When they have like 5 or 6 that need to be connected, it was kind of it was just too much.
Yeah.
And, one of them was like, "You know what? I'm just gonna manifest." I rolled my eyes so hard. "I'm just gonna manifest that Flodesk integrates with Thrivecart, and this doesn't become an issue because 'cause I'm not switching." I was like,
Yeah.
"Okay, cool."
Yeah.
That was like a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Now that they are, I'm like, she was not that was not because of her. Enough
Right.
people like, I know there's so much overlap with people who use Thrivecart,
Yep.
who wanted the Flodesk, and they kind of, like, made do with Kit because, the direct integration,
Is just money.
it's life-changing.
Yep.
And so when you told me that they rebranded, and then I started looking, and I saw someone who is a Thrivecart person talking about how she was testing the integration, and I was like,
Yes. Ah, yeah.
and so I think if that hadn't come through and you came to me and said that, I'd be like, "No."
Oh, it never would have crossed my desk if
Exactly.
that hadn't come through.
Yeah.
The integration had to happen in order for me to then do the
Well, and then you
research.
switch back to Squarespace, and it now integrates with Squarespace.
Yes,
And so that's a part on the, creators of Flowdesk, that they were like, "Oh, our community wants this. How
exactly.
can we make that happen?"
Yep, yep,
And so, yeah, some people are going to come to me like you. We can talk it through. I can help people make that decision,
yep.
map out what that looks like. Because you could have taken my proposal and been like, "Okay, this is what I got to do." You know,
Right, right, right.
and you absolutely could. But I was like, or
Yeah,
help
or
you.
I can do it for you. Yeah,
um,
and there was a time crunch,
yes.
and
Which for me, it's not going to take you long, but you have other things.
it would have taken me long.
Right. Yeah.
Because I don't know Flowdesk. Like, I've never actually used it. My previous business, we had it, but we had a full-time team member who completely set that up and managed it. So I've never once, not once, logged in to Flowdesk and sent an email, wrote an email, made a form. That's why I went back to Kit when I went out on my own, because it's what I knew like the back of my hand.
And there's
And
nothing wrong with Kit. It just,
oh, yeah,
for me, Flowdesk was always, they didn't charge you by subscriber.
right.
That was
And
the thing I loved about them.
And so that's my thing too, is technically I'm spending $12 more by making the move to Flowdesk. But once I'm over 1,000 subscribers, I will be saving like $15 per month. And so
Well, and
It's
using affiliate link, like for me or whoever someone knows, for that first year, you get that 50% off that helps
yeah.
you grow the list to make it make
Ye
sense.
Exactly, exactly.
Eh,
And, I mean, I think, like, ultimately, you've gotta choose, like, values of who's founded the company and where they're headed and who's on the team, and I feel like I can spot we all know Natalie Frank recently moved and went she works now for Flodesk. I love her how her brain works, and she is very much for the creatives
Yeah.
and the small business owners, and so I can only imagine the things that she's gonna be pushing through within their team, and so it definitely feels like one of those, like, okay, they are finally ready to, like, take their growth to the next level
Yes.
and roll out really cool features, and I wanna be a part of that.
Yeah, because I think in the beginning, they were definitely very much more always aesthetically more pleasing.
Oh, for
So a lot of
sure.
that's why a lot of coaches, I think, really liked them.
That's why a
Yeah.
lot of creatives, like photographers,
Yeah,
wedding planners, like that group.
exactly.
It's so beautiful.
But I've used it for 3 plus years, and so they've made some updates, but it's not like the core of how it works does not change, which is
Right.
nice. Um, and so I'm excited to do the project for you, but, like, again, someone could come to me and be like, "I'm thinking about making this switch." Cool. Here's the steps that you would need to do. Here's why it's a pro.
Yeah.
They could go do it,
Yeah.
or I can do
Yeah.
it for them, and I think having gone through all the stuff we've, gone through, like, we're talking about the whale client, the retainer not being a good idea for me for so many reasons. I'm like, I know some people just need the second brain one off. Like,
Yep.
I need
Yep.
to dump. I need to talk through something because nobody in my life actually gets this. They don't have an
Mhm.
Emily in their life. you know, I'm pointing to you and you're pointing to me. But, you know, um, but
We're
some
like
people
that
also,
Spider-Man meme.
yeah,
It's like
yeah. But also some people need that, but they also don't have the time
right.
or it's not something they know how to do.
Yep.
And so I'm like, cool, I'll do that one priority project that we uncover in our session.
Yep.
And then for 3 months or so, I've had something outlined that's basically like having the second brain in your back pocket
Yeah.
for like, hey, this is going on. I need to talk it out. What do you think?
Yep. Yep. Well, and I think that, for all of you listening, if there is a low lift tech conversation that you've been wanting to think about integrating or making the switch or talking about having someone like Emily's brain on it to help you see and like poke holes in okay, if you want to move here, here are the pro cons. And if you want to stay here, here's the pro cons. Because at the end of the day, we all know this to be true. If you've been in business for more than a second, there's going to be something about a software that you don't like and that you wish that it had, and that a feature from that one you really love that you wish was over here.
Yeah.
And it's going to be very, very, very rare where you get all of the things that you love. And so you're going to have to be making a compromise. And ultimately, you need to decide what is the compromise that's worth it for you
Mhm.
to make and
Yeah.
commit to that.
Well, I think for so many of us with like the neurodivergence too, it's I hate the shiny object syndrome because it sounds like such a shaming thing. But I
Mhm.
think, our brains just, we love newness. We get
Yep.
excited by ideas, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's having someone that you can bounce ideas off of, whether it's a friend or someone to be like, so I had this crazy idea I kind of want to
Yeah.
go 110% on.
Yeah.
And they can be
What do
like,
you think?
you're going to be like, no. Or they're gonna be like, "Well, maybe, but
Mhm.
this is kinda I would do it like this." And it's just you need that sometimes. And also, I think a lot of times for us, our brains specifically, it can be organizing and systems. We can do that so well for other people, but doing it for ourselves can feel really, like, overwhelming and make us, like, kinda get stuck.
Yeah.
And so I've always been of the mindset that you get to choose how you build your business. There is no right or wrong.
Mhm.
And that comes down to just as well too, if using Apple reminders is how you organize your business and it
Great.
works,
Love that.
great. Yeah.
Yep.
But there are some people I feel like who are like, if you don't have like a CRM, I'm like, I don't need a CRM.
I don't have one.
Yeah. I was like, I know.
I mean, I made one in Airtable. Like, technically, I have one. It's not a traditional
You use it
CRM.
for different things.
Mhm.
And, like, I've used, like, Dubsado and all that stuff, and I like it, but then I'm always like, "Why am I using this? I don't really need
Right.
this." But
Right.
people are making me feel like I need it, and I was like, no, I don't need it. And
Yep.
sometimes you just need, I'm lucky I can sometimes do that for myself, but sometimes you really just need someone to be like, listen to your brain dump of this is what I
Yeah.
want to do. This is what's going on. I don't know where to go from here.
Yep. Yep. Cool.
And, help you figure it out.
Yeah. 100%. Well, as we wrap up, I would love to hear if we're talking about just sell the damn service. And you take that to heart and you look at your own business, or you feel like there's something, you know, if you wish it had clicked a little sooner or differently when it comes to that kind of mantra, what is that for you? How does it resonate with you?
For me, it resonates that I think it's really easy to rely on referrals, and that feels
Mhm.
really safe, especially if you are someone who doesn't love to be perceived all the time.
Mhm.
And so when you say that, I'm like, I really, even if it's as simple as promoting jumping on a call with me, if like my clarity call, or sending me a DM or something like that is selling if I'm
Yeah.
talking about what I can do for someone. And I think it's really easy to get comfortable in, well, I'm doing all this stuff for my clients. I can't take the time to whatever. And I
Mhm.
think it's just a good reminder that our business is just as important, you know? And selling doesn't have to be like a whole launch sequence or perfect Instagram thing. And so I think that's the reminders. What can I do today to sell?
Yeah.
Oh, I could
Yeah.
send an email. My list is super tiny, still could sell.
Mhm.
And I think that's something that I'm really working to get in the habit of because I was not in the habit. I was referral based.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Go sell your actual damn service
Yes.
today, every day. Have you sold it today? If not, go do it. Okay, where can listeners hang out with you, learn more about you, get in touch with you?
So I technically still have an Instagram and you're welcome to DM me. It might take me a couple of days. So I'm mostly hanging on threads these days, and I feel like a lot of people are.
Uh-huh.
But that's where you can find me. Just there.
Great. Her social links will be in the show notes of this episode. And I also know truly like the fastest way to get to know what Emily offers and if it's right for you is to hop on a clarity call, like truly. And so reach out to her and grab that link, or maybe we can put a link directly to your call in the show notes
Absolutely.
and y'all connect. And truly, truly, if you all are also on the Flodesk uh, moving accounts migration train like everyone else is, I promise you, reach out to Em and she's got a quick
Thank you so
package to
much
put
for
together
listening
for
to
you
Sell
to
the
make that
Damn
transition
Service.
really
If you loved what
seamless
you
for
heard
you
today, do me a quick favor.
without,
Hit subscribe,
losing
leave a
subscribers,
rating,
losing
and drop a
traction,
review.
losing
It
data, all of
seriously
that
helps
good
more
stuff
service
will
providers
get
find the
moved
show,
over and
and it
tagged
keeps
appropriately
me
and
yapping
reset
into
up
this
and all
mic
of the
every week.
things. And
It's
so
a
definitely reach
nice,
out to her if
free,
that's something that
easy
you're looking
lift
for.
way for you to support the
Thank
show.
you.
And hey, if you've got a friend who needs to hear this, please send this episode their way. The more people selling their damn services with confidence, the better this whole industry gets. See you next time.